Daryl, I know you mentioned on the road that Jonathan Huberdeau is playing a lot more, as you'd expect and want from a guy of his stature. What is it that he's doing better?
I think he's moving a lot better. I think he's more comfortable with it, with his whole game. I think he played really well on the trip. I think at the end of it, we had a lot of tired guys, but I thought he started really, really well, and he played a lot of minutes.
Are you hoping to see a nice ovation for Matthew Tkachuk tomorrow from the Calgary fans after all he did for hockey here?
Certainly. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, our fans always acknowledge that.
What was your impression of your team's overall play on the road trip?
We had goals going in, obviously record goals set to go in to the trip. We fell just short of that, obviously, but there was parts of our game that we wanted to build on from the Winnipeg LA games at home here prior to the trip. We did a really good job of that. We just didn't score enough goals. Just do the trip, do the goals, just pretend it's one game and do it, and you put in two overtimes and the shootouts and just do our goals against goals. Just pretend it's one game and you do it and see what the score is. We just didn't score enough. Our goals against, 2-2, so we just didn't score.
What can the guys do to score some more goals?
Well, so obviously try and get more shots, more chances, more from everybody. When you're on them long, it's easy for when you're not on the trip to analyze and evaluate. It's easy, right? I mean, I did it too. You can be an armchair coach, armchair quarterback, but you get into that length of a trip, you're counting on everybody, and you're counting on that extra effort or that break or that call, or so it's a fine line. Our extra, I think 5 and 5. We just got to keep working at our game. We got to keep moving forward with that. And I think obviously our power play, the 4 big guys plus Rass, the power play wasn't as sharp if you look at it. So it's that fine line. If they're a little better, hey, you're going to win another game there, and that's what it was. It's one goal.
So you feel like you're close right now to turning it?
Yeah, we have been. I mean, we had no issue the way we work, effort, anything like that. I mean, it's just guys break out.
Where do you guys have scoring chances at right now in this last little stretch? Like, are they up or high enough where they need to be?
The last, just top of my head, last 3 games were like no, they outchanced us 5 and 5. We were like at 10 or 11, and usually we're at like 14 to 17 in there, and that's a good number. But then the Pittsburgh game, like we only gave up 10, and that ends up the shootout 2-1, right? And we it's like 2-1 for us in chances, so you just got to finish.
You mentioned before the last road trip that you're still looking to find the magic pairings on the blue line. Now that you've gotten Chris and Michael back, do you feel like you're starting to make progress in terms of finding guys that go well?
Chris, because you always want to pick guys out or whatever, and ask how they're playing. But you got to remember, Tanny had major shoulder surgery, and he's just starting to get his game back again. So that impacts who he plays with. That impacts how they play too. So, we brought up Gibby on the trip, and he played really well for us. So, it's nothing to do with. I'm not too involved in or too much discussion about who partners are now. I mean, the key is to stay healthy, and you look at how well McKenzie played on the trip too. So, that's important for us.
How important is your fourth line during these games in setting the tone and providing energy?
Well, it was a hard trip. As I said, you need depth through your team when you're on. You need really good shifts. That's what you need during the game. Change momentum, or whether it's a hit or it's a goal or it's something that happens to change momentum, draw a penalty, things like that. And I just thought as the trip went on, then we lost some energy as we went, and that's usually where you're trying to get it back from. So that's the importance of that line.
And then with Jacob, you just want to probably see him get on a roll and sort of get consistency with how he's playing.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with our goaltending on the trip at all. I mean, Vladdy played really well, but didn't get a win. So that's the difference for them to win. At the end of the day, they're not going to say it's nothing about highlights. Right? The highlights are either big saves or bad goals. Right? You just want W's.
How much growth have you seen from Rasmus specifically with his work on the power play?
I think we've talked about that before. You know, his evolution as a player has come a long ways. So we just keep working at it. Right? Do the hard things right. Get better at everybody likes to work on the things that are easy. You work on the hard thing. He just keeps getting better.
Darryl, I just have one in terms of your offensive game. How have you felt about your play with the puck and how you've passed it kind of in between the two circles?
I think we call it the next play part, the finish part of it, and that was something that we've seen. And that's not on the players at all. That's on the trip. That's travel and not practicing, and you know you're just going out there and working, right? But you lose some of your execution, and then we definitely seen that.
Darryl, from the outside looking in, things seem to come easier for this team last year, goals and in turn wins. But can kind of having to grind things out the way you guys have been doing so far this season maybe help you down the road and be more
Yeah,
battle
but
tested?
you know, in saying that, you can't compare this year to last year. I mean, that's still what everybody wants to go back to. Well, last year you did. Well, it's quite a different team when you look at it. Right? You had 340 goal scorers. So when you're saying, well, we made that mistake, you made that mistake, you know what? That 40 goal scorer covered that mistake up. That was the difference. That was that one more goal or that half a goal when you look at it. So to make those comparisons is you got to go past that in a hurry. That'd be like saying comparing last year to the year before. You got to go past it, right? You got to deal with what you got, and so that's how we have to play. But we have to play a faster game in that. So that's on everybody. That's on our defense, move pucks better. That's on our center. You know, we talked about the experience of our centermen. Well, those guys are guys that carry the mail then, and they, you know, we on the trip we kind of we didn't get them the puck as much as we wanted. So those are things you can get better at. You have to work with your group.